Wife faked pregnancy to trap husband in marriage. What she did on her due date is unbelievable. Sadly, not all marriages work out for the best, and it is not unusual for either the husband or the wife to want to call quits and leave. When one woman in Colombia found out that her husband wanted to leave the marriage, she conspired an elaborate scheme to try to convince him to stay. However, her master plan didn't quite work out the way that she planned. Antonella Milena Padilla was a 37-year-old Colombian woman from Barranquilla who lived with her husband. Barranquilla is located near the Caribbean Sea and is the largest city in the country, so it's no surprise that Antonella was boisterous and bold with a personality to match her heritage. However, regardless of how vibrant and passionate the Latino woman was, everyone was shocked to discover the stunt she pulled on her husband to get him to stay with her. Also, if you have not done so already, please subscribe to our channel and click that notification bell to get inspired by these real-life stories every day. Now, back to the story. Although Antonella lived with her husband and even slept in the same bed as him, the pair were growing increasingly estranged. Their marriage was on the rocks and the future didn't seem particularly bright. Antonella's husband wanted to leave her and abandon the marriage, but she had other ideas. She was willing to do everything in her power to make him stay. However, no one could ever have predicted what was about to happen next. By this point, Antonella was desperate to keep her husband and was willing to do anything to get him to stay. It was during this time that she hatched her conniving plan. She was going to fake a pregnancy. In a desperate bid to convince her husband not to leave her, Antonella told her husband that she was carrying his child. Of course, this would make any man second-guess abandoning a marriage. Now that she had told her husband that she was pregnant, she needed to continue making him believe it was true. The first thing that she did was place a cushion on top of her stomach. As the months went by, she slowly filled the cushion with rags to make it seem that her belly was growing with a baby inside. The bulkier her belly became, the easier it was to convince people of her pregnancy. In addition to a growing belly, another dead giveaway of pregnancy is the image of an ultrasound. Normally, when parents fall pregnant, they flaunt the alien-like image all over the internet. Antonella knew that an ultrasound image was needed to prove her pregnancy, and so she printed an image from the internet and showed it to family and friends. What her family and friends didn't know is that the baby that she was showing them belonged to a stranger. Antonella's husband, who only moments ago wanted to escape his marriage with Antonella, started having a change of heart. In a full 180-degree switch, he started to become increasingly excited at the prospect of becoming a father. Her husband had not fathered any other children before, and so he had no suspicions about his pregnancy. Not only did he have no idea what to expect, but he fell hook, line, and sinker for all of her mischief. The treacherous wife had managed to pull her husband along for the ride for an entire 9 months, but now that the due date was approaching, she had to come up with something drastic. Antonella left home at 10 a.m. on the day that she was due to deliver her baby by C-section at a local hospital. As far as everyone was concerned, she left home and made her way to the clinic, but she never arrived. When Antonella arrived home without a baby in her arms, her husband had 1,000,001 questions. Where on earth was the baby that he had fathered? All of those days that were spent waiting outside the clinic made him believe that the baby was healthy and scheduled for delivery as per usual. If only he had gone into appointments with her, he would have known all about her lies. Shocked by the fact that Antonella had returned home with no baby and no pregnant belly, her husband started asking questions to better understand the situation. What had happened? Where was the baby? Was everything okay? It was time for Antonella to finish off her story with a bang. When she next opened her mouth, she let a river of lies flow out, telling her husband an unbelievable story about what had happened. It was time for Antonella to tell the story that she had been preparing for the last 9 months. As Antonella told it, the day started off well and as planned. The sun rose on the due date for her highly anticipated cesarean delivery, and the expecting wife had everything ready. She told her husband that she left home at 10 a.m. and made her way to the clinic, only she never arrived. The day had finally arrived, and Antonella locked her home and made her way to the clinic to deliver her baby. She claims that on her way to the clinic, a gang pulled up alongside her in a red van and kidnapped her. The last thing that Antonella claims to remember is that once the gang had her inside the van, they drugged her and everything faded to black. After being kidnapped and drugged, Antonella claims that she completely blacked out and doesn't remember a thing. The next memory that she has is waking up at 7 p.m. a whole 9 hours later outside a supermarket. Besides the fact that she had been kidnapped and drugged, something else wasn't right. Antonella claims that she woke up in a strange place and knew immediately that something was wrong. It appears as though Antonella's husband wasn't the only one who wanted to escape her. So did her imaginary baby. She claims that when she woke up 9 hours later outside the supermarket, she realized that she was no longer carrying her baby in her stomach, and neither had she given birth. Her baby was gone. She immediately contacted her family to let them know the awful news, but why on earth would the gang have stolen her baby? She had prepared an answer for that as well. Her husband was in absolute shock. Keeping in mind that Antonella claims to have been drugged after being kidnapped by the gang in the red van, she has a strikingly clear understanding of what had happened to her baby. Antonella tells her family that the gang was, in fact, an organ trafficking gang. It was this organ trafficking gang that was responsible for cutting the baby from inside her belly and leaving her stranded outside a supermarket. As if Antonella's story wasn't far-fetched enough, she went on to describe the reason for the gang cutting her unborn baby out of her stomach. Antonella claims that the evil men who kidnapped her did so in order to harvest her unborn baby's organs and sell them on the black market. At this point, Antonella's family was in absolute shock and jumped to action, an action that would completely blow Antonella's cover. Antonella's family was incredibly concerned about her health. If what she was saying was true, that she had been kidnapped, drugged, and cut open by a black market gang, then her health was at serious risk. Against her will, the family rushed her to the local Niño Jesus de Soledad hospital. Once there, the medical team were shocked and baffled by her story and promptly called the police. Everyone in the hospital was on edge. Antonella had experienced nothing short of trauma, and everyone was hell-bent on getting to the bottom of the tragedy. After arriving at the local hospital, the police launched a massive operation to track down Antonella's kidnappers and the thieves that stole her baby directly from inside her stomach. Little did they know that the truth that they would discover was far from their expectations. Not long after starting their investigation into Antonella's story, the police picked up on a few discrepancies that they simply could not ignore. Their attention peaked when they looked at the hospital evaluation and found that Antonella had not suffered any knife injuries that matched the likes of a backstreet cesarean. However, that's not the only detail that didn't match up to her insane story. The sketchy hospital evaluation was just the tip of the iceberg. By taking Antonella to the hospital to get checked out, they discovered another skeptical inconsistency with her story. The medics at the hospital took blood tests and found out that not only were there no sedatives found in Antonella's body, but she had never been pregnant in the first place. All of a sudden, all eyes were on Antonella for a very different reason. All of the odds seemed to be stacked up against Antonella. Not only did she not have a knife wound to corroborate her story, but the blood tests proved that she was never drugged nor pregnant in the first place. Her lie was falling apart, but her demeanor was holding strong. The family had a shocking explanation for why they never suspected a thing. The attention was not only on Antonella, but also on the family that had believed her lies for 9 whole months during her fake pregnancy. Her mother-in-law comments, "She had a belly. It was small, but it never raised suspicions. We never suspected anything because although her belly was small, some pregnant women didn't have big bellies, so we didn't think anything was strange." Perhaps the most incredible part of Antonella's story is that her husband never noticed that she wasn't pregnant, nor did he suspect that she was lying. Despite her husband claiming to be excited about becoming a father, he never bonded with the baby. In his own mother's words, "My son lived with her, they slept together, but he never touched her belly or tried to bond with the baby. I have to speak with my son so he can tell me what was going on. He has had various relationships but never had children. There is no need, no reason for her to do this." There are so many aspects of Antonella's story that makes one doubt humanity. Not only did she lead her family on for 9 months, lying to her husband in order to get him to stay with her, but she created quite a scene with her lies. Police Commander Mariano Cotero Coy said that Antonella could be charged for her actions, but you won't believe what the charge would be. The effects of Antonella's lies were widespread, affecting not only her family and friends, but also public resources. According to the police, Antonella could be charged for her actions and the repercussions that occurred. In the police commander's words, "In the hospital we see people lying down in queues from 5 a.m. waiting for an appointment, and this lady feigning her pregnancy meant that she was attended to before others who really needed it." The results of what happened to Antonella will forever remain a mystery. At 3 a.m. on Sunday morning, a short 2 hours after her blood test confirmed she was not pregnant, Antonella slipped off into the night. To this day, her whereabouts are unknown. However, it is very unlikely that she is missed back at home. It seems that her husband finally ended up getting what he wanted, Antonella out of his life.
If you liked the video, please give it a thumbs up and consider sharing it with someone who may find it interesting. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.